Metabolic flexibility, unlocking optimal energy and health through balanced carb and fat metabolism. Introduction. Metabolic flexibility is the body's ability to efficiently switch between burning carbohydrates and fats based on energy demands. A metabolically flexible body adapts easily to various energy sources, ensuring stable energy levels, better insulin sensitivity, and enhanced fat metabolism. However, disruptions in metabolic flexibility can lead to poor glucose management, insulin resistance, and diminished metabolic efficiency. Understanding how to maintain metabolic flexibility through balanced nutrition, physical activity, and breathing techniques can lead to improved long-term health outcomes. Understanding metabolic flexibility. Metabolic flexibility allows the body to shift between glucose, carbs, and fat oxidation depending on the energy available and the intensity of physical activity. During high-intensity activity, the body primarily uses carbohydrates, while during periods of rest or low-intensity activity, it relies more on fat for fuel. Key benefits of metabolic flexibility: improved insulin sensitivity. Efficient switching between fuel sources reduces the likelihood of insulin resistance, lowering the risk of type 2 diabetes and other metabolic conditions. Stable energy levels. Metabolically flexible individuals experience sustained energy without crashes, as the body efficiently shifts between glucose and fat utilization. Better fat metabolism. Enhanced fat oxidation prevents excessive fat storage, contributing to healthy body composition and reduced risk of obesity. Scientific evidence supporting metabolic flexibility. A study in the Journal of Physiology highlighted that individuals with good metabolic flexibility demonstrate better insulin sensitivity and glucose regulation during periods of fasting and feeding. Research published in Cell Metabolism found that impaired metabolic flexibility is linked to mitochondrial dysfunction, insulin resistance, and metabolic stress. The role of carbohydrates in metabolic flexibility. Contrary to the belief that low-carb or ketogenic diets enhance metabolic health, prolonged avoidance of carbohydrates can reduce metabolic flexibility and hinder the body's ability to efficiently utilize glucose. When the body becomes overly reliant on fat oxidation, it loses its ability to switch back to glucose metabolism, leading to insulin resistance and poor glucose utilization. Why carbohydrates are essential for metabolic flexibility: improved insulin sensitivity. Regular carbohydrate consumption supports insulin sensitivity by maintaining efficient glucose metabolism. Increased carbon dioxide, CO2. Production. Proper carbohydrate metabolism generates CO2, which enhances oxygen delivery to cells and supports efficient energy production. Boosting NAD+ levels. Carbohydrate metabolism contributes to higher NAD+, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide levels, which play a key role in electron transport and cellular energy production. Evidence supporting carbohydrate utilization. A study in Frontiers in Endocrinology demonstrated that individuals consuming moderate amounts of carbohydrates maintained better metabolic flexibility and insulin sensitivity compared to those on low-carb diets. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition emphasized that carbohydrate metabolism supports higher CO2 production, facilitating vasodilation, improved oxygen delivery, and cellular protection. The role of carbon dioxide, CO2, in metabolic health. CO2, often overlooked, plays a crucial role in maintaining optimal cellular function and metabolic health. Higher CO2 levels improve oxygen delivery to tissues, enhancing cellular respiration and promoting efficient energy production. Key functions of CO2: vitamin K activation. CO2 enhances the activity of vitamin K-dependent proteins, supporting bone health and cardiovascular function. Vasodilation and oxygen delivery. Higher CO2 levels promote vasodilation, ensuring adequate oxygen delivery to tissues and reducing oxidative stress. Protection against cellular damage. CO2 prevents cellular damage by buffering oxidative stress and promoting mitochondrial efficiency. Scientific evidence. A study in the Journal of Applied Physiology highlighted that higher CO2 levels improve oxygen transport and tissue oxygenation, contributing to metabolic flexibility. Research published in Respiratory Physiology and Neurobiology demonstrated that nasal breathing techniques increase CO2 levels, enhancing metabolic function and reducing oxidative stress. How metabolic inflexibility develops, the impact of low-carb diets. Prolonged low-carb or ketogenic diets, while beneficial for some short-term metabolic improvements, reduce metabolic flexibility by impairing the body's ability to efficiently utilize glucose. When carbohydrate intake is chronically restricted, the body becomes overly dependent on fat oxidation, leading to insulin resistance. The inability to properly metabolize glucose results in decreased insulin sensitivity over time. Mitochondrial dysfunction. Prolonged low-carb states limit mitochondrial adaptation, reducing the efficiency of energy production. Reduction in CO2 production. Without sufficient carbohydrate metabolism, CO2 levels drop, impairing oxygen delivery and tissue function. Scientific evidence. A study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that individuals following long-term ketogenic diets experienced decreased insulin sensitivity and impaired glucose metabolism. Research in diabetes care emphasized that chronic carbohydrate restriction leads to mitochondrial dysfunction and impaired metabolic flexibility. Restoring metabolic flexibility, practical strategies. Restoring metabolic flexibility requires a balanced approach that includes whole food carbohydrates, consistent physical activity, and supportive lifestyle practices. 1. Include whole food carbohydrates. Incorporating nutrient-dense whole food carbohydrates into your diet supports glucose metabolism, promotes CO2 production, and improves NAD+ levels. Focus on root vegetables. Sweet potatoes, carrots, and beets provide complex carbohydrates and fiber. Fruits. Bananas, apples, and berries supply natural sugars and antioxidants. Legumes and whole grains, lentils, quinoa, and oats contribute slow-digesting carbohydrates that support stable blood sugar. 2. Avoid prolonged low-carb diets. Moderate carbohydrate consumption prevents the metabolic rigidity caused by chronic carbohydrate restriction. Aim for 50 to 150 grams of carbohydrates daily, depending on individual needs and activity levels. 3. Practice nasal breathing techniques. Nasal breathing enhances CO2 levels, promoting vasodilation, oxygen delivery, and cellular respiration. Techniques such as box breathing, inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold for 4 seconds, Buteco breathing, a method designed to increase CO2 tolerance and improve oxygenation. 4. Engage in physical activity to promote flexibility. Consistent exercise, including aerobic and strength training, enhances metabolic flexibility by stimulating mitochondrial adaptation and improving insulin sensitivity. High-intensity interval training, HIIT, enhances glucose utilization and fat oxidation. Resistance training improves muscle insulin sensitivity and glucose uptake. 5. Prioritize mitochondrial health. Supporting mitochondrial health ensures efficient energy production and metabolic flexibility. Consider incorporating magnesium, CoQ10, and alpha-lipoic acid, essential for mitochondrial function and cellular energy. Infrared light therapy stimulates mitochondrial ATP production and reduces oxidative stress. Potential risks of impaired metabolic flexibility. Without proper metabolic flexibility, the body experiences reduced insulin sensitivity, mitochondrial dysfunction, and increased oxidative stress, leading to an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome. Conclusion. Metabolic flexibility is a cornerstone of optimal health, enabling the body to efficiently switch between carbohydrate and fat metabolism. Supporting metabolic flexibility through balanced carbohydrate intake, regular physical activity, and improved breathing techniques enhances energy production, insulin sensitivity, and overall metabolic health. By adopting these strategies, individuals can restore flexibility, prevent chronic disease, and maintain stable energy levels.